Dylnn's log, 2007-25. So it turns out that it's not necessarily a personal combat deal. It's more of a survival and trophy hunt. We get back to the ship, and my plan is to check out some more of these microclimates to gather more plants, see if we can't get closer to what we're looking for this drug therapy stuff. But a couple of other guys, they send the sensor drone down to the village to spy on the village, see what they're doing to prepare. It turns out that there's a handful of these warrior Khazinti that are making these plain wooden spears with fire hardened tips, and some other ones making flint knives, and some others that are tanning and skinning hide to make things with. And somebody does see them smoking some meat. They take like one of these cow creatures and they smoke the whole thing, kind of deal. Excuse me. So at this point, Tajin says, this is silly. We should just go and ask, see what these trials are all about. So he and Reynald head down to the village, and between their broken Carillion, they get across that they're asking questions about the trials. They get led to some elders who are watching all the people doing their thing, and some stuff comes back about pick one, go to the jungle, 7 moons. And there's some more communication going on, some frustration on the Khazinti part, but that looks like it's some kind of survival deal. We go out for 7 nights. Obviously, we need to survive those 7 nights, and then there's a cultural kind of thing about what you can bring back to the village. The better. I guess greater is right word. The greater gift you can bring back to the village, the better kind of thing, kind of deal. So we spend the next few days practicing with spears. Crazy. But anyway, so 3rd day, we go down there. And there's a table set up with all these things on it. There's the spears, the knives. There's these bags. There's these rocks. When I get there, and there's 3 Khazinti youth that are going through their rite of manhood kind of deal. And apparently that's what this is. So we're going with them, or they're coming with us, however you want to look at it. And so these 3 Khazinti, they go up and they start. They notice that when they get to the rocks, we notice that they're taking their time with these rocks. And you're checking them all out, and they take a specific one. So Tyndall kind of, walks up there to look around, see what's going on, and she figures that they have varying levels of iron in them, and so that may be what the Khazinti are looking for. Some with high iron, so they can use their flint and knives with the iron to, make sparks, make fire, kind of deal, which is all cool. I dekit. I brought everything with me. The environmental combat suit, my Gauss rifle, all that stuff. So I dekit, put it by a tree, in the shade kind of deal, and then pick up a leather jerkin and breeches that they had prepared, and tie that all off. And then we follow the Khazinti into a hut. I kind of picture some kind of run off into the woods kind of thing, but no. We go into this hut, and it's a sweat lodge or a sauna kind of thing. So we all just kind of, relax, meditate, get ready for the next day's events kind of deal. Begin encryption. So also at this time, I try to commune with Maliki. I don't know if there's necessarily something specific that she or we may want to get out of this planet. But I'm just trying to make contact. It's been a long time since we've done that. and encryption. So after the that night, the next morning, before dawn, some of the warriors come and bring us all out. Those poor Kazinti kids, man, they are wiped out. Tej and Reynald are a bit taken down as well. Fatigued. That's the word. Yeah, they were a bit fatigued. I seem to be feeling all right though. And then we come out and follow in rows. There's like a gauntlet kind of thing with all the warriors. We go through. At the end is the elder, the old man Kazinti, and each of the young Kazinti they genuflect to him, and then off they go down towards the road. So we follow suit, and it does say something to us. The words themselves don't really seem to mean anything, but I get the impression it's like some kind of a blessing or something. But we follow suit. We go down the road, and we start heading south. And after a ways, one of the Kazinti guys heads east into the jungle. Well, heads off into we're still in the forest. We're in that area close to the jungle, but still forest. He heads off into the forest. A little while later, another Kazinti heads the other direction down towards the river, because the road's following the river, right? As it goes south, and as it goes south, it'll eventually, in 3 days, it'll open up into the ocean. So Reynald's kind of thinking that maybe that's the deal. Go 3 days down to the ocean, spend a day, and then 3 days back. That's your 7 days. But then we start seeing the Kazinti, going off either direction. The last Kazinti actually stops to rest, and so at that point, just bypass him. Because previously we were just following him, trying not to make a ruckus, just follow along. But after he takes a rest and sits down, I don't know about that. My plan is to go out till it gets dark and then head into the forest, and then make camp, kind of deal, like a full day out kind of deal. At some point, Reynald took off, and then Tajin, Reynald. Well, they're behind me. I'm not sure exactly when they do their thing, but eventually they peel off as well. So I day out, I head in, try to make camp, but wasn't able to get enough tinder and kindling to actually get a fire going. So it was a miserable, cold, wet night. Well, not wet, but a cold, miserable night. So next morning, I am not feeling too good myself. Turns out that the meat in the bag is maybe enough for a day and a half. Same with the water. And so I spend the next day tracking for animals or something. In the back of my head, I'm kind of thinking maybe if we can find one of these cat things, but I don't know if I can take a cat thing down with my stupid spear, even with my leak gifts. I don't know if that would work. So I go tracking. I do find a deer-like creature, and my spear miss it. I'm able to regain its track, and come up on it again, but again I miss it. So I get back to my little camp area and eat some of my dried meat kind of stuff. Next day, another cold night. Again, go tracking. I can't find anything myself, but I was able that night to make a fire, and so I make a little blind lean-to kind of thing to help keep the fire from shining out everywhere. And that becomes my camp. So we sit on, I'm miserable all night long, but I'm now out of food and water, so I'm hurting. So the next day, I start foraging around for luscious plants, so plants with a high water content kind of thing that I could eat. Don't find anything. That afternoon, go tracking for deer or something. Again, nothing. So spend that night. And then the next day, again, hungry, thirsty, do some more foraging, but can't find anything to slack my thirst. But that afternoon, I find out these deer creature animals, right? And I take some more time to set up my throw. And I nail him in one of the, I think it was a front leg. Does some damage. It starts to bolt off. I run up, grab my spear, follow through on him, come upon him again, and set up for another throw. Hit him in the rear leg this time, so he can't really get anywhere. Grab my knife, I run up and jump on him, stab him in the neck a couple of times, finally get him down. So I now have food. I do drink some blood, get some fluids in me. But I drag him back. I gut him out near my area, not close, but I'm thinking if I can leave the innards here, that that will then bring some predators my way, that maybe I can get something to get claws and teeth for a necklace kind of deal, like the warriors have. Next day, I smoke some of the meat and I hang it up and try and lash together a platform of sorts in a tree near where I left the guts and stuff. It's not very stable, but I can get up in that tree and sit and watch. So that's my intent. In fact, that night I climb up in that tree and I'm just kind of waiting, watching around to see if anything comes down. It gets late, but don't really see anything here. So I go back to my camp. We do hear, at least I do. I hear some fighting out in the woods to the southeastish. A decent distance away. Certainly not close, of animals fighting. Based on the sounds, it's probably these wolf-type creatures and one of those cat things. So I'm starting to get a little antsy about maybe one of these cat things finding me. But we'll see how all that turns out. Next morning, I make a little travois kind of thing to drag the deer on, pack up my meat. And then I take the bag and I make a little handle for it. So it's like a net kind of thing, but really, really shallow. And I layer it with dirt and put my fire stuff on it so I can take fire with me. And then I head towards the river because I need to get some more fluids in me. So that's my plan. Day 6, down to the river, make a new camp down there, get all cleaned up, washed up, get my fluids up. And then my plan is for day 7, so a whole day back to the village. So that was my plan for day 7. Begin encryption. Okay, so each night I have been trying to commune with Maliki to figure out, well, first off, just to make contact with her. And the second, see if there is something in her plan that we need to include this planet or these people with. And she tries to get something across to me, but I'm not quite catching it. But I do have a dream one of these nights. It feels like I'm being hunted and being captured and being tied up and put on a boat and in a cage and that kind of thing. And at one point, I'm looking down the water and I'm seeing these split iris kind of eye things. So, like, maybe I'm a Kzinti. I need to double check that next time when I get back to the village. First thing I'm going to do is look at Kzinti and see what their eyes are like, see if that matches what I remember looking into the water and seeing that kind of eye thing. And then maybe I'm thinking that I got the idea that it was a sailing ship. So it's possible that I don't think it's Carillions. Carillions would just capture people and take them up to the ship and that kind of thing. But maybe there's some kind of slave trading going on here that we need to interrupt. Maybe. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm going to bring that up with the village elder when I get a chance. I also, the night I'm down by the river, I try to invoke my essence perceptions, being able to hear at great distances, that kind of thing. It's rather fatiguing, but I do manage to get successful a couple of times. And I can hear stuff out there, but again, still further off. But it's good to know that I'm actually making this work. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, so day 7 rolls around. I take some of the river clay and mix it with the dirt. I've got my bag, right? I spread it across the bottom of the bag, kind of make a little, a vase kind of deal. Really rough, right? I'm not trying to be fancy or anything, but so I got thick clay inside the bag, and then I put a bunch of coals in there to bake it essentially from the inside. And then from time to time put little twigs and stuff in there to make a little fire every once in a while as I'm heading back to town with my Trifoli and my deer. And the idea is I've got a bag of fire. I think it might be cute. Anyway, when we get back, my plan is if what I'm doing or what I'm presenting is not enough or whatever, I'm thinking if some Kzinti warrior makes fun of my gift or my lack of gift, I'm going to trip him and challenge him to one-on-one combat and see how well that goes. Because I've got a couple tricks up my sleeve. Begin encryption. Yeah, something I wanted to mention is during my hunts, after that first night of hunting not going well, I started invoking my hidden ways, my invisibility. That helped a lot with tracking down the deer, getting them surprised, flanks, setting up around. That made it so it's possible to actually hit these things. So my idea, if I get involved with some of this one-on-one combat, is to do a dodge or something so I get out of their line of sight, invoke my hiding, and using that to my advantage and taking one of these giant Kzinti down. That's the only way I'm going to be able to do that. And encryption. Okay, so we'll see how things go when we get back to the village. Happy gaming. And personal log. This whole session was a lot of roll for this, roll for that, roll for this, roll for that. And I kind of think we could have been more strategic, is not the right word. More general instead of, okay, you failed your track and roll, you failed your track and roll, rather than your track and roll, you didn't make what you wanted to make, so you were only able to see so much. Obviously, I didn't talk about the other guys. There were 2 other guys out doing the survival thing. The girls were not involved. And one of them was making traps, and he was getting stuff all the time. And the other guy was down the river, so he was fishing and stuff, and always had plenty of water. It did all work out. One guy fought some wolves, and I don't know, it just seemed to me that grappling a dog is a bad idea. That no matter where you get a hold of a dog, he's going to be able to bite you over and over and over again. And would not only just trying to get away, but continue to attack kind of deal. And maybe there's some mechanics. There was a whole bunch of issue about grappling and that kind of thing, but the game mechanics we have are the game mechanics we have, and it may not emulate exactly what you have pictured in your head on doing. And there was some discussion about that. The GM seeing the fight one way, the player seeing the fight another way. But we're limited by the rules we have. I thought it was kind of odd that punching a wolf in the hindquarters being enough to actually incapacitate the wolf's hindquarters. It just does not make sense to me. And a believability kind of standard. That's just me. Anyway, 22 minutes. Happy gaming.